Hello, lovely people. Let's see, music's cooking. Everything's working. Everything's lit up. All right. Well, hello. It is Tuesday, November 14th. Almost the Ides of November. Today we're working on this monster, which we started. This guy is 3 streams old. So far about 9 hours put into this fellow, give or take. Some diversions. We went from a blank sheet of paper to a sketch, which you see over there on the right. And pretty happy with the sketch. And then we sculpted the basic form, the kind of bouncy balloon shape, kind of get the energy of it right. And we've been sculpting the details, starting with the face. We did the hands in the last stream. The hands and the axe, I think. Or who knows when I think we might have done the axe before we did the hands, maybe. So we got to sculpt books, the armor, and the big furry cape, which I've never sculpted a giant cape before. A fur cape, so that'll be fun. But so far so good, I think. I mean, the legs are absolutely placeholders. The anatomy's all wonky. And I just have the an earlier figure of mine in the environment just for sense of scale. We won't keep him there the whole time. Let's just hide him to start. But I hope everyone's having a lovely Tuesday. We started here a little bit late as Restream was giving me some problems. But if you're catching this live or catching a replay later, I really appreciate it. There's a link at the bottom there. It mentions Steve's next Kickstarter launching soon. Still, I put that in air quotes, soon. At prayershandbook.com. That's about the metadomain cleric. I'm very excited about that. But I'm sorting out an issue with the Kickstarters right now for Death Dealing in that some folks are saying they didn't get a sticker. They're supposed to get a second sticker, the Intoximancy sticker, and I may not have included it in every package that was supposed to have it. So they got everything except that extra sticker. So I'm sorting out a way to let people kind of on the honor system, and heck, just if you want an extra sticker, I'm going to set that up on my website so people will be able to if they back the Kickstarter. Oh my goodness. Hey, Telebot. So anyone who backed Death Dealing but didn't get the walking flagon, the sentient flagon sticker, I'm going to set up a way on the web shop and a coupon code to go to the website and just get a sticker. I'm actually going to say pick whatever sticker you want. They're all going to be the same price. The coupon code will work for any one of them. And I bought a bunch of envelopes, small envelopes, that I haven't really sorted out international mail. It's going to cost me maybe a couple $100 to sort it all out, but we'll sort it all out. I just want to make sure everybody gets everything they've asked for, and everything they were promised. Most importantly. Okay, so let's sculpt some books. That might be a fun place to start. Maybe. I think so. The armor will kind of sort itself out as we get further along. But tell them, thank you so much for subscribing. That's awesome. The channel here on Twitch is sort of plateaued a little bit. Where we have, I think 298 followers. I may just sit there forever. All right. Where am I going to start this? We'll start with I just want to select one thing in the environment so when I add a new object to the environment, it's kind of easier to fix, easier to adjust. Because sometimes when you have a complicated object, one that's joined or already in a group, and that's selected, and you add a new object to the environment, it sometimes becomes part of that larger group or the previously selected group. So I'm trying to avoid that. So I try to make sure I've selected nothing, or a camera, or an ungrouped object, and start there. Alright, so we'll validate that shape. Look at it from the front. Using the selection mask tool, we will select half the sphere. Oh, mirror symmetry's on, so it's selected both sides. I think in the past I've done this with I did this with a cylinder. That's probably the better way to go, not a sphere. That's my mistake. But I hope everyone's having a beautiful day. I've been watching a little bit of that Dungeons and Dragons channel that they have on Freevee. I guess it launched last week, but so far it has just been almost entirely symmetry on again. Almost entirely just replays of the old Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. And which I don't mind, I love. But last night I caught a very little bit of one of their new original bits of programming. Let me remesh this thing. Undo that selection and remesh. And it was a cooking show, and I couldn't last. I tried to watch it. I couldn't bring myself to continue watching it. It was just it's like a celebrity cooking show, but I don't know if this is celebrity enough for that. And the whole network is very weird because it's just old school in that there's no replay, there's no pausing, it's all live or streamed. It's a live stream, so but without the ability to pause anything. So it's like broadcast television. You catch it, there's commercials, and if you miss it, you missed it. So that's odd. I'm not sure who on earth was looking for that kind of service. And it's all the stuff seems to be at 9 p.m. or peak times in the middle of the week, where I just don't feel like I'm going to block out a lot of time in the middle of the week to watch appointment television on Amazon. Doesn't seem to make any sense at all to me. Appointment television barely worked when the shows were great. I tell my absolutely. The whole idea that we're at the point now where we're subscribing to services to watch ads is very it's completely stupid. It's completely stupid. It's borderline evil. Like, why? Why would we do that? Why would we? Oops. I'll use the trim tool. Symmetry off. Oh, heck. I'm doing this in the wrong order. What I want to do is I want to duplicate this larger cylinder, turn one invisible, actually turn them both invisible, select the main cylinder, and we'll notch it out of the hot dog bun. So that'll be the cover of our book. And so the other one we turned invisible will be the pages of the book. And make sure I have the right thing selected. But there will be an update later today on the death dealing campaign for a sticker. It seems like I didn't include a sticker with a lot of shipments. I promised everyone a bonus Intoximancer's flagon sticker, and it wasn't included with some of the packages. I'm not sure how many didn't get it. So I'm just going to mail out stickers to everybody. The easiest way to do that is kind of the honor system. I'm just going to set up the stickers on my website. Currently, I don't sell the individual stickers on my website, so I'm going to add them tonight, and so people who didn't back the Kickstarter can get them. And this will help me update addresses and set up a whole list of ones I have to fulfill. It'll make the whole thing a lot easier. And then I'll just give everyone a link. Hey, check out this page. Here's the coupon code. If your email address is associated with the backer kit or your Kickstarter account, just go in here and place an order, and it'll be free and free shipping. So I'll just take a stamp and a small envelope, and I'll mail stickers out to everybody. And I'm thinking about making it so that you can pick any sticker you want. So I'll have the death dealing one. I'll have the Intoximancer, the walking flagon one. I'll have some of the upcoming Prayer's Handbook stickers as well. So people can choose whatever sticker they want. Might as well. JRD, good to see you. Yeah, tell it was the very last stretch goal that was unlocked. So, yes, everyone was supposed to get that one, but it was the flagon one. I had them. I was shipping everything out, but I think it just wasn't part of the assembly line when I was mailing out some of them. So I'm just going to mail everyone. So everyone's going to get an extra sticker. So everyone else is going to get extra package in the mail. A small envelope, the tiniest envelope of all. JRD on the YouTube says a good timing is either keep watching the House budget hearings or this, so you're more entertaining than the House. Oh, that's nice. Everybody Lies. Oh, not that house. You're watching the other house where everybody lies. But there's still we're waiting on the triumphant return of Pencil to Pencil. It will not be this week. The following week I think is Thanksgiving, so it won't be that week. But I think we're gearing up to return the week after. So anyone who watches the Pencil to Pencil program over on the YouTubes and the Facebooks, where we talk about comics and creativity. That's a Wednesday night broadcast, but one of our co-hosts is recuperating from some health issue, and we will return as soon as we can. All right, so I think for the side of the book, it's very round. It's a very round. Let's fix that. We can fix that. I should have flattened it beforehand. It's super round. I don't hate that, but that's better. I will use the selection mask tool and select part of the cover of the book, and then use the marquee tool and the marquee with the gizmo tool to move part of the book out. We will clear the selection. Now for the little... Oh, I know how to do this. Great. And it's really cool that at some point with this program it became like Photoshop, where I'm like, there's multiple ways to solve most of these problems. Which one will take the least amount of stress? And so I just cloned the book and squished it. And clone again. And clone again. And we'll save, and I'll sip some coffee. But you're on the clock. My opinion could change once the painkillers wear off. Had a tooth replaced after... oh my goodness. Chicken wings. A chicken knocked out your tooth. Well, I'm sorry, JRD. I hope you're okay. The painkillers, that's awful. Had a tooth replaced. So did it knock off a crown, or did it take a tooth out? And you had to get like a crown or a post and a whole new robot tooth. Tell them I don't know what you're going to do with the time off. I had some extra time this weekend. Extra time. It didn't really last at all. I spent the time writing The Middle Age, which is my webcomic, which has been taking a back seat to a lot of the just to a lot of things. I don't want to put it all at the feet of the role-playing game work, because that's not remotely true. I'm meshing those little those bands on the side of the spine because I feel like the book was a very complicated object, and like I cloned the cover was very complicated. I cloned it 3 times and made those little bits on the spine. That just increased the size unnecessarily, and so we're going to go in here and go to decimate. Yeah, it says 852,000 vertices for a book cover, so I'm decimating it. Each time you decimate, depending on your settings, it cuts the amount of memory. Cuts the amount of vertices, or it cuts the geometry in half. How about that? Then with the smooth tool, I'm going to smooth that, and that will help make it look more like it's embedded in the leather. Probably the wing broke the tooth into thirds. Oof. Well, I know you've had a heck of a run lately. A lot of stuff piling up there, JRD. I hope this is the last of the surprises for the year. The last of the unwelcome surprises for the year. I shared over on the Discord some preview artwork for the Metadomain Cleric. I'm pretty happy with it. A lot of it is heavily sourced on Adobe stock. There was a client of mine that had a need for lots of Adobe stock images. It was for maps for Florida parks, and they needed lots of Adobe stock images for them. That's the one they had. That's the company they had the license with, and so that's the one they wanted to use because they knew that if we used those, they would never run into problems. So that's the one we used. When the project started, there wasn't even an AI button on Adobe stock, but recently they added one, like to add AI generated images. That's not the term they use. They use something else. The way Delta doesn't call it turbulence, they call it rough air. There was something they used, some sort of colloquialism to kind of soften the word AI. not procedurally generated, something like that. But maybe it says AI, but it's in a way AI enhanced. They try to do something like that, which is just horse 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 pucky, as the kids say. Um, but the thing is, having the Adobe license gives you like 20 images a month or 10 images a month, and I didn't need, the project lasted longer than the number of images I needed, so I had access. I wanted to cancel the account, and they said, okay, if you cancel your account, you lose all your credits. So I'm like, I'm gonna use all my credits. And so I got a bunch of stock images for use as reference. I could shoot my own, but having licensed, legal to use source material, pretty easy. So there's a couple of them that I used for, and I did this with Intoximancy as well. I don't think I did that at all with Death Dealing. No, that's not true. There's the cat character in Death Dealing. There was a magician in the Adobe stock who's flexing a bunch of cards in the air, and I changed the head to that of a tiger. I gave the character a hood. I put gloves on the hands because I didn't want to have tiger hands. I didn't want to have the claws and furry paws and all that stuff. I thought, okay, it's a rogue. They should have gloves on. Added little tufts of fur coming out from the jacket, between the jacket and the gloves. But with the metadomain, which you can see over on Discord, there's a wizard, and I added it was an old man holding a book, and he had a lovely beard, great hair, good hair color. It was like gray, but kind of a sandy blonde, like it was a blonde color at one point. And you see kind of nice transitions of color, things like that. But his hair was a mess. The hair was also kind of like, it was flowing, but it was also kind of a mop of wiry, stringy hair. Had a nice mustache and beard. Not super well groomed, but clutching a book. And as I was going through this weekend of having a little time to myself, looking for options to watch on the streaming services, I saw a trailer, not a trailer, with the movie poster, the image on the screen of a Nostradamus film, a film about Nostradamus. And they use that same stock image. It was so striking to see, like, oh my gosh, there it is someplace. And one of the reasons why I always caution people against using stock images is that you'll run into them elsewhere. I did hear that, and I didn't even know this is a feature that DriveThruRPG has, is they have artists who have uploaded artwork that you can license for your RPG projects. So if you ever want to make an RPG project or make a cover for one of your books, they have a bunch of artwork in there to license, which is pretty awesome. I also like that whenever artists get paid for their work. I'm going to fuse these two cylinders together. We'll turn them invisible, select the cover of the book, and we'll notch them out by remeshing. Excuse me. And the cosmic horror filter, pretty much. That was the thing that was most interesting about it, was I was looking at Adobe Stock before they acknowledged this filter. And one of the things Adobe Stock had was you had to, when you uploaded art to their service or submitted art to be included in their repository, that it was your work. And a lot of people put stuff up there long before it was, before the copyright decision had been made by the U.S. government saying you can't copyright AI art, AI images, procedurally generated theft, or procedurally generated concoctions. It's not always theft. I mean, that's the thing, we've talked about that before, where if the exclusive source of the AI were Renaissance paintings, which are public domain, no theft is occurring. It is churning through that stuff and producing an end result based on the material it's got. Maybe let's say it's all Creative Commons Zero stuff. Again, public domain, where there's no theft. This stuff is available for everybody to use and cut up and remix and repurpose however you want. So there's no theft. Take that equation completely out of it. It's still garbage. It's still just regurgitated art code. JRD says, I use stock images as reference, but I never use the actual image unless I can manipulate it for use as part of the background or something like that, for that very reason. Yeah, because it becomes very, very obvious, too. I think AI images are very obvious to me now. Usually the telltale sign is that there is a level of finish which would require expertise. And to get to that level of finish, you would have obviously learned how arms are built or how many fingers a person has. You immediately start seeing failings of structure underneath a quality finish, a highly polished turd. It's an artist would not be able to get to that level of finish if they didn't, without picking up the fundamentals. And this was a thing I noticed on a Kickstarter project. But what I appreciated was that particular Kickstarter project, and this is before Kickstarter had their policy. Well, I appreciated that the person who was putting that Kickstarter together clearly labeled it as such. So this is AI artwork. I know if you don't like that sort of thing, I understand. I feel like I gotta take a step back here. That's okay. I notched that out, but I have to clone that and squish it down into the shape. That way it has an impact on both sides of the book cover. I'm gonna have to trim the sides of the book again to make sure those things line up. Alright, we'll do that. We can do that. But I did catch up on a show that I was really intrigued by, The Bear. It's on Hulu. Very good, very stressful. Related to a lot of it. I worked in a lot of kitchens in my youth. Show about a guy who inherits a sandwich shop. I can't. My explanation. It's like, yeah, Ted Lasso's about a soccer coach. I can't explain it all. All right, we're gonna save. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. How we doing? So I'm working in Nomad Sculpt on an iPad. I've been sculpting for about 2 years now. I took to it pretty quickly. I think a lot of cartoonists would if they give it a shot. The program is about $15, and a lot of fun. So what I do is here, in this case, I'm sculpting this creature you see over on the right. So I sketched that in Procreate on the iPad. I brought that image into Nomad Sculpt, and now I'm just trying to capture that energy. If I can possibly amplify it. I sculpted the hands, I sculpted the face and the body. You can see that in the last couple of streams. I think Twitch only archives things for 2 weeks, but we've been streaming on YouTube since I started this. We've been streaming to both services, and YouTube archives it forever. So if you want to watch the process of this thing, you can fast forward through it. But we go from sketch to sculpt, sculpting the hands, sculpting every knuckle, every finger, sculpting the axe, And the face and the beard actually came together much faster than I thought. I think we went from sketch to the finished pose and much of the face all in the first 3-hour stream. But if you want to read my comic, The Middle Age, you can check that out at middleagecomic.com. It's on Webtoons, Tapas, and Go Comics. It's been about 2 months since my last update. I've been working on those off and on and off. Actually, off, and on. But I just wrapped up some big projects, and I'm hoping I can spend more time in the world of the Middle Age, which I'm excited to get back to. Alright, I'm going to remesh this book cover one more time. We're going to soften it. Using the smooth tool, this lets us soften the edges, make it feel like it's wrapped with leather. This is exactly a this isn't going to be a magical tome. A lot of magical books, the thinking is that they're impervious to harm. Like if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, if it's a magical item, you can't break a magical item. But where's the fun in that? Everything would look pristine, and I want to see nicks and cuts and scratches and all that stuff. So let's do a little bit of that here. So I'm just going to go grab the lasso tool, and we're going to notch out a bit from the cover there. Maybe take out a corner. The thing about this is it will cut right through the object. So let's say if I was looking at the book directly from above, let's go from below so we're not, well no, let's look from above. If I notched out this bottom corner of the book, it'll cut right through both the top and the bottom. So as I'm taking these little notches out, part of my job is to find the right angle where I won't accidentally cut something else. And then we'll remesh the cover again. Grab the smooth tool and then smooth those out. Again, they're nicks and cuts, but they're older and they've gotten worn down. So for the pages, I sometimes just sculpt pages, like individual rectangles. Now this is going to be a miniature. Add a box, not a cylinder. This is going to be a miniature that people will be able to 3D print at home, and I think will be a mini that people can buy as a kit. And because of that, I don't make the paper thing. They're kind of like thick slabs of papyrus or something like that, or of who knows what kind of material they're printed on. Let your imaginations go. But I'll create a few sheets. I'll rough a few of them up. We'll flip them, we'll flop them, we'll make a stack of them. We'll stagger them so that they look like pages from a distance, or when you zoom in quite a bit. But that will look better than just a cylinder I have there. I don't know why I notched that shape. Didn't need to do that. So I want to remesh this thing, keeping sharp edges, sure. And we will... Oh, wait. Let me undo, solo. I'm going to keep this original shape here. I'm just going to trim it down a little bit. We're going to trim it on the sides so that it can be kind of hidden inside the book and provide stability, kind of like a spine that hopefully no one will ever see, but we'll know it's there. We'll give the whole thing some more solidity and stability. So, use the rectangle tool. Cut the pieces back a little bit. And we'll know it's there. Cave. Already shilling for the man? In what way have I been shilling, Cave? What'd I do? You missed my ad for gold. You know I've compromised too much when I've given everyone an ad for Squarespace. Or at least you'll know when I've stopped making websites as part of my job. Telling us to go read the Middle Age? Kids love the Middle Age. Kids come running for the great taste of webcomics. I got an ad, or an email update, let's call it that, from Weta Workshop, saying that they're going to be making stuff based on Lore Olympus, which is pretty amazing. I remember being in a mall. Some still exist. It's not just out of Stranger Things. And going past a Hot Topic. They still exist. It's not just Stranger Things. And oh, had Symmetry on there. And they had a big window display with products from Lore Olympus. I mean, I don't think it took up the whole window, but it was prominent, and I'm like, this is just amazing. If you don't know what Lore Olympus is, it's a webtoon. It's maybe the most popular thing on Webtoon, and will be a Netflix series soon. Like all things, at some point it will be a Netflix series. And what I like about it, among the many things I like about Lore Olympus, is that a lot of people said they were talking about like publishing comics on webtoons. Oh, it's all manga. It's all manga. It's all romance manga. And Lore Olympus is definitely romance, but it's not manga. The style couldn't be. And I don't know. It's probably closer to Mike Mignola and Darwin Cook than anything manga. It's gorgeous. It's more. This is something you get to look up. Ivan Earl. Ivan Earl was a Disney artist who did all those gorgeous backgrounds and lots of the color theory work for Disney films. So there's a scene that you went, oh, that's gorgeous. That might have been Ivan Earl. I'm taking some notches out of these other pages. Oh, Symmetry's on still. When will I learn? But I did watch some of that. I don't know, maybe 3 minutes of the Dungeons and Dragons cooking show on Freevee as part of Amazon Prime. It's Amazon Prime's Freevee's E1's Dungeons and Dragons cooking show. I probably also could have included a shout out to Hasbro in there. I don't understand why it exists. Someone said it was because E1 was owned by Hasbro. Apparently, Hasbro bought it for like $4 billion, and ended up selling it for $500 million, which I'm no MBA, but that seems like suboptimal. But who knows? Maybe that's modern business. You want to make a Batgirl movie and then never show it to anyone. That's our business plan. I made a Batgirl movie. I can't show you. Oh, it's great. I wish I could show you, but I can't. Just off camera here is like like to the ceiling, reels of films I've made. I can't show you. They're write-offs. They're all write-offs. The golden age of cinema. Crease tool. Voot. Did I go through? It did go through. We don't want that. Filter. Front-facing vertex only. Voot. And it didn't go through. That's what we want. We didn't want to go through. That's what makes some other notches in here that are just easy to make. Okay. I will clone these pages. Using the gizmo tool, I will slide them up. There's a fun thread on the Twitter, which has no other name, and it was Gail Simone who started talking about the comics that got you hooked, and I was thinking about it, and normally I mentioned Godzilla #10. Marvel Comics did a Godzilla comic book, and that was the first one I ever bought off the stands. And it was Godzilla versus Yetrigar, the greatest Yeti of them all. So it was Godzilla versus a giant Bigfoot. And it's everything I wanted in literature. But that wasn't the book. I think it was a Spider-Man reprint that really got me. I'll have to take the wife to work. I'll be back. All right, safe travels. I was actually approached by the production company of that show about a year ago. Really? About Lore Olympus? That explains so much about the Spider-Man part or the Godzilla #10. What I currently have my eye on. I saw it at GameholeCon. I don't know if you saw it there, Cave. I saw a circle. Oval. I'm going to cut these pages like so. Nope, not good. It was a life-size kobold statue. Which oddly enough, I can't justify purchasing. I think it has a list price of $600. It is a Pathfinder kobold. It's part of what I really like about it. It is a it's not the kind of modern dog lizard of 5e. It's more of the lizard. Um, not to get technical, but lizard, and it's amazing. And they had them at Gamehole Con. There was no way in the world to justify ever having it. I don't even know where I would put the thing. I mean, naturally, of course, it would be smack dab in the middle of the living room. It's a conversation piece. I don't think you can call it a conversation piece if it just results in stunned silence whenever someone sees it. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go. I see you have a giant lizard, a giant foam lizard. I'm gonna go. Seriously, why isn't that moving? Oh, that's stamping it. How did that happen? We're trying to move stuff, not stamp stuff. There we go. Just trying to tuck it back a little bit there. The cooking show, whatever it's called. Yeah, so E1 was their network, and I think they were going to be like, oh, let's make some D&D stuff. And I don't know who bought it for a song, but now there's like 3 streaming programs, and they're all prime time, 9 p.m. This is prime cave geek art hours on the Twitch. Like, I think 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock there were 2 shows, and I just turned it on briefly, and I didn't see any, really briefly. I just saw celebrities exchanging anecdotes. And when I say celebrities, and I would watch if I thought maybe they could figure out a way to put dice into it. Like, give me a chance of watching a if it's going to be a true Dungeons and Dragons cooking show, there should be the chance of a TPK, right? Like, they should be 5 amateurs try to cut and serve poisonous sushi. You know, you've got your dexterity checks. You've got your, I'm not sure what culinary would be. Your culinary check. Then you got your Constitution saving throw. People would watch that. That would be a real show. All right. All right, Cave. Thanks for being here. Good luck on that Zoom call. Oh, wow. One of the producers found flavor text online and reached out about maybe collaborating. Well, I hope in an upcoming season they make that happen, Cave. You don't overthink the details. Well, if I make these STL files available, JRD, someone's going to print this thing gigantic, and then all these little details I put in here will be visible. So I'm going to join those together, and we're going to call that book. Isn't that clever? I'm going to make a couple of books here. And, oh! Did I not grab the pages? Oink. Join. Book. And now that it's joined together, I can decimate the thing as 1. And so 1.5 million vertices, or I don't know. What are those? Again, I've been doing 3D modeling for about 2 years now, and I still don't know like the difference between a triangle and a face. I guess, can a triangle have many? Can a face have multiple triangles? I don't know. Anyway, I'm a cartoonist. What are you gonna do? So hit the decimate button, and that reduces the number of, I think, polygons down to triangles, and then you do it again, and that cuts the number of triangles in half. This is where, if Jimmy James were here, he would be telling me exactly the language I should know. So I think this hand, when you're running, your hand might be out a little bit to hold it, so I think I can bend the wrist out a little bit. It doesn't have to be a complete straight line here. That will give me some flexibility in how I position the books. I think the individual fingers are still separate elements. I will be able to adjust them. If you want to see how I sculpted that, that was the last episode. I think that's where we started the last episode. Again, I don't want anything to be ever 90 degrees, right? We want to keep things... 90 degrees is boring. So nothing straight up and down, nothing flat except the ground. The platform this thing has to sit on. So I'll tilt this back, because I would think if you're carrying it, you're going to tilt it back. And it should, some of this should fall back. The stack should be a little bit loose, but then a few of them should be resting on the creature's shoulder, so that as they're running, they're kind of using their body to keep the stack upright, even if some of them are falling, or about to teeter and fall off behind. So the grognard is it's kind of a common... It's not derogatory. We talked about this before on the channel. When I started sculpting this thing, a grognard's a term, kind of endearment, kind of affection, kind of owned by those who use it. I think coined by those who use it, as a kind of old school complainers in largely Dungeons and Dragons, tabletop role playing, and wargaming world. This index finger needs a move, so I'm going to save this file where it stands, and I'm going to try to ungroup this hand. So the left hand here, again, it's the creature's right hand, but I label everything according to camera view, not according to the front view, not according to biology. So we're going to separate that. And when you break something up, it gives it the name of the thing. So if you break up an object that's called left hand, every new piece of that becomes left hand. That's just it doesn't know how to label it. It doesn't retain any of the labeling when you join something together. And it's solo, so we just see that. This will help me select the object. I'm just going to select the index finger, including the knuckle. I'm going to deselect the palm if I can. Excellent. I'm going to then use the gizmo tool. I'm going to reset the pivot if I could. It didn't do much to help it. We're trying to look at it just from the side, like directly on the side, and we're going to, oop, with the pivot selected. Oh, why can't I see my lines? Is it because it's a group? I wonder why I cannot see. Oh, because that's silly, align button was selected. What I'm trying to do is get those crosshairs to be perfectly lined up, like 90 degree, like a north, south, east, west. And then when I come back to this, I can then use that to adjust everything. Right, because now it's rotating along that point that I just selected. Okay, that's better. Now, we'll select the hand again. Hit solo so we just see the hand. And we'll use the selection tool and select the thumb and the knuckle. Can I just select the thumb and the knuckle? There we go. We'll do that. We'll look at it from the side. We'll zoom in a little bit. Gizmo tool, pivot, point. Hope I accidentally tapped on something else. Pivot point. And we'll try to get these lined up like crosshairs again. I guess the pivot point has to be more down there. Great, one book down. We'll save, sip some coffee. Oh, there's a decimate button. Who designed it? Yeah, I don't know where all these terms came from. The program seems fairly inconsistent. Sometimes I think it might be trying to avoid legal ramifications because the naming of things seems a little bit like just a little off, like it was translated to another language and then back. Because they have spheres and they have boxes, not cubes. And I don't know why. They've got cylinders and spheres and boxes, not cubes. That seems to be like one of these things is not like the other. Alright, so with the left hand, I'm going to join it all back together again. It didn't break. I'll take that bit of good luck. I'm going to adjust the pivot point on this again to the wrist of the character. Oh no, no, wait. Okay. We'll join the hand together. It's subordinate to the cuff. We'll make the book subordinate to the left hand. A child of the left hand. So now we go back to the cuff. When I rotate the cuff, the book will move with the hand. And that will let me change the angle a little bit. Tilt it back a little bit. I just think you would be as you're running forward, you would naturally be tilting it back, I think. Even if that means lowering the forearm. Oh boy, I already merged the forearm. Oh, I didn't, thank goodness. I thought I already merged the forearm and the and the bicep. Well, it's not even a character class in, but Grognard is a term for the fans. Apparently, it was a Napoleonic term for the older soldiers who would complain, who would kibitz, and let's bake that. We'll rotate it on the blue axis 90 and see what. Oh, sorry, 180, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, not great. Like, I probably should have adjusted all these books. Like, made the stack of books before I adjusted them and moved them into position. But where's the fun in that? Now, they all won't be the same exact book, but a couple of them will definitely be the same. And certain ones will have to have text on the covers, maybe additional ornamentation. Like the top one and the bottom one are going to have some kind of script on them, runes of some kind that kind of help distinguish them from one another. And the top ones, the covers actually have to come loose a little bit, and pages have to fan out somewhat. I wonder if the whole arm should be back a little bit further. Like, oh, the forearm should be a child of the shoulder. It feels better. All right, let's sculpt a couple more books. I think having the arm back, like it's kind of tucked as you're running, would probably make a little more sense. But it was a Napoleonic term, grognard, were the older soldiers who complained a lot. And so I think that became part of D&D parlance for older fans, old people who played the old editions and things like that. So that's one of the reasons why this character is, well, the primary reason why this character is running with a stack of books. That these characters been around a while. It's also why it's older to the point where it's undead or skeletal, but still has the beard of a old gamer and the balding head of an old gamer. But I didn't want it to be I want it to be formidable. So I think we struck a nice balance there. And also the armor. I wanted the armor to be imposing. I want this to be, because the grognards, the people complaining about D&D and stuff like that, they're not entirely wrong. They're just talking about the game they like in the context of the things they like. And as long as they're not trying to be exclusionary, well, you like what you like. All right, let's make a new book. I probably should have kept a unaltered one. Oh, I can do that. I can do things. I've learned this program almost enough. Maybe. I'm going to break this off on its own, and we're going to go up here and see if we can reset it. Did that reset every aspect of it? Holy cow. I think it did. Fascinating. That was like, just add water. That's amazing. It just compressed it into a dehydrated magic book. Sweet. Save one more time. Now I've had Sir Quimp, the model of our hero Sir Quimp, in the environment, just for reference and for scale. I'm going to delete him from the file, just for now. We can always bring him back later, but I want to keep the file size down. Alright, let's create one more book. How will this one differ? We'll make it one that has like the spine of the book is flat and is connected with sort of a hinge mechanism to the front. Let's do that. So we need a brand new cylinder. Sorry, a brand new box. We'll increase the subdivision. Validate. Scale it up and move it up. So this is for my next D&D book, which the more I think about it, is like it's not great for novices. I'm going to say the next one I'm doing, the Prayer's Handbook, is really for someone who's played D&D, who's wants to try something maybe a little more challenging. Not that it's not going to be fun, but I do think it's going to be. I think maybe you can play it as a novice. But I probably wouldn't recommend it because it's going to be such a heavy role-playing class. The idea of the metadomain cleric is that it's a cleric who thinks this all might be a game, and that makes it more challenging, I think. The people who respond best to it are people who've played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. Let's remesh this again. Smooth out the sides. Possibly it'll be a little early for me to be smoothing out the sides. No, you know what? Absolutely it is. Let's undo, undo, undo. Because as long as I have the cylinder here, I can clone it and use it for the spine, for the individual pages, and I don't have to start over by creating a brand new box. So we'll just move that one out of the way, and we'll get back to it here. Name cover. So I don't know how this one's going to do compared to the other ones I've done. I think Intoximancy was a super easy sell. It feels like it's... I mean, I'm still a brand new content creator in the gaming space, so people don't know who I am. So that makes it an uphill battle. But on the other hand, I think people get what Intoximancy is immediately. They're like, oh, it's this silly drunken wizards. Death Dealing Rogues, okay, it's a rogue that throws cards. Again, real easy to wrap your head around. But I feel like the meta domain, there's a lot of... The question is, like, what do you mean meta? Right? And now you're explaining what it is, or trying to explain what it is. So I'm going to create that main bit there, and I'm going to clone the cylinder and shrink it back, but enlarge it a little bit. That's interesting. The wrong thing got selected. Not sure how that happened. Use the trim tool and the rectangle tool. I'm using that other book as a guide for this one. All right, so cylinder, cylinder, cylinder. We'll join those together. We'll clone them and then slide it down. How we doing? Truman Show. Hey, DEG. Yeah, Truman Show. Matrix. Abed Nadir from Community. Deadpool. I think Deadpool is probably the easiest one for people to wrap their heads around. And I also want to say, I think a lot of D&D games and a lot of Dungeons and Dragons tables are already pretty meta. I know a lot of games, I have to stop people and say, are you asking me that, or is your character asking me that? And a not insignificant number of the times, the player will say both, right? But it still means I need to know who's asking the question in order to answer. Like, am I answering in character, or am I answering as Steve, as a fellow player trying to reach a common game goal while not trying to necessarily act out the way the character would behave? So it's a really interesting, I don't know, just it should be a lot of fun. I'm having so much fun writing it because it's just ridiculous, and but when I say ridiculous, I don't mean like it's dumb. I mean it's fun, it's silly, it's kind of relaxing in how much leeway it gives the player to do weird, fun things. I'm going to remesh this to strengthen the edges a little bit there. It seems to be falling apart. Or, tell you what, let's do this too. I'm going to lower the intensity of the smooth tool. But yeah, The Truman Show, Matrix, Bugs Bunny to some degree. Every time a character in any bit of fiction looks out at the camera, looks out at the audience and breaks that fourth wall, there's a little bit of that. But I think it's more than that in terms of silly. It's not just silly. It really is, I think, an interesting thought about tabletop role-playing games, about the fantasy genre, about what is faith in a world where gods are real. There is a lot here to play with. Part of the I was watching this with the latest season of Critical Role, where the gods are kind of treated the way the gods in the Marvel cinematic universe are treated, like Thor and those. They're gods, but are they really gods? And what kind of, what was their role in the creation of the universe? What was their what is their role in the day-to-day lives of mortals? It's very much pantheistic, Greco-Roman, Greek and Roman type pantheons, Norse pantheons, where the gods aren't so concerned with you believing in them, because they will just show up and say hello. They're much more concerned with market share. Who believes in one god? My god could beat up your god, that sort of thing. It's a very interesting it's just very not faith as most people would probably think of it. Don't forget loose pages sticking out, or books with loose covers, or maybe folded maps. Oh, JRD, that's a good point. A lot of the ones I've done so far, I can show you those. Actually, I will save first. A lot of this kind of thing, where I've put in notes and stuff like that. I feel like specifically this subclass, like they'd be taking all sorts of notes. It's kind of a Pepe Sylvia subclass. This hasn't gone anywhere yet, but I was playing with this the other day. I've never sculpted what would be a real dragon. I sculpt the ones from my comic, which tend to be more cat-like. I was just playing around with this. While probably watching The Bear on Hulu or something like that. Hey, how are you? Good to see you. But it's coming along, I think. Had fun making those textures, playing with symmetry, but then turning it off for just a little bit of irregularity. Alright, where was we? Grognard. Alright, let's keep adding pages. So I'm going to clone this as a page. I'm going to hide this original source. Come on. I'm going to hide you. Page. So we will scale and scale. Pull it back a little bit. So we'll clone this one. Slide it up, hide it. And then this one I'm going to add some notches to it. Trim tool with the lasso tool. Oh, did it again. Symmetry's on. Undo that. I'm selecting this page 2 again. I'm just turning off symmetry now when I get to the trim tool, so I don't have to worry about it later. I keep having to clone the thing and then turn that off on every single one of them. So let's get that right now. And then we'll use the trim tool. We'll cut out some notches in the paper. It's really resilient there. It doesn't want to break. I'm going to have to smooth all these out. They're very rough. I'm going to take care of... feel better, JRD. Sorry to hear about your tooth. That's terrible news. I hope you're okay. Feel better, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Next time you stream, or at the next Pencil to Pencil, perhaps. Or I'll be back here on Thursday. I might pop into the next coffee break with Jamar if I can make that happen. I'm gonna remesh this. I don't know why it's acting weird. It was looking crunchy. Alright, I'm going to select those 4 pages we have so far, join them together, clone them. See if we can rotate them 180 on the red axis. Hopefully they don't fly off in the distance. They did not. So I'm going to get rid of the top 2 ones here. So we will delete and delete. Now this one needs kind of a latch that goes over the front of the book, I think. I kept the one box, didn't I? There we go. We'll clone that. I'm going to delete this other book. We don't need it for now. Actually, we don't need it ever. We have other copies of it, I think. That would be hinged as well, right? Save. How are we doing? I'm just adding that strap that goes around. Oop. Pardon me. I gotta put some character into these covers as well. I kind of haven't done anything to them. So, Cut a notch. Symmetry's on. Will I ever learn? No. I'm not sure why this cylinder is acting so, I'm sorry, this box is acting so weird. It just doesn't want to cut on the sides. Alright. The best way I think we're going to do is we're going to clone this thing. Not clone it. Not yet. First we're going to stretch it to cover the full height. Then we will clone that box, scale it down. I'm going to change the color just so I can see it. Turn that invisible, and we will knock that out of the top one. Keep sharp edges, remesh. Select that paint wall. So now we have this strap that goes around the outside. I'm just going to soften it. That'll make it feel more like leather, or like a piece of leather that was going around. Trim tool. Okay, let's turn symmetry on. We'll see if we can make this happen. Trim, ellipse. Huh. Seems to be working. Okay, the symmetry was world, not local. So we'll try that again. It's interesting, I had to hit the smooth button twice. A little keyhole there, kind of make that look less terrible. I should still have that hidden box there. It is still there. Box 1, and we will put a couple of these on the back. Oops. We'll put a couple of these on the back of the book to make it look like it's holding that strap in place on the back. smooth that thing out first. Okay, cancel, save. Let's add some character to the front of this book. Actually, I don't know how many people will be able to see it. We'll worry about that later. Let's try to just join this book together. We'll do this the easy way by using the selection tool, marking it all off, and hitting join. I should have hit the save button before doing that, just in case it shattered my computer. Sometimes the program can just up and quit on you, so it's good to save often. We'll name this book 2, because the first book is called Book, and then they get numbered after that. Could have this thing go back to the beard and to the shoulder, and the more contact there is there, the better. Maybe the next book will hit the shoulder. I think this one's touching the beard. Excellent. Just a little bit. Eventually I have to kind of merge everything together, so there's just 3D printers hate gaps of any kind. Some of these books have gaps built in, but I'll want to adjust those somehow. Clone that again as book 3. Move book 2 up into the mix. Right, so the hand, the forearm, we could rotate a little bit from the front. Rotate things out a little bit. We'll save some more. And I'm going to take a quick break, stretch my legs. We're doing this for an hour and a half. I'm going to stretch my legs. I'll be back in 5. This is an amazing art show about to start. It's a quick run of some fan art and guest art created by folks like legendary D&D artist Jeff D, Pixar Disney artist Marty Bowman, Mouse Guard's David Peterson, and too many more to count. So check them out. Here they are. I'll be back in 5. I'm going to stretch my legs. And I'm back. How's everybody doing? We are in the midst of making books here. I don't know if those pages, looking at it in the interface of Stream Elements, is this Stream Elements I'm using here? Or what is this? OBS Live, excuse me. I don't know if I need to reduce the number of pages and just expand the pages a bit so they're chunkier. Like, I don't know if it's too fine here. There are some tweaks I can make to the pages themselves to have them sticking out and curling and other little bits like that. And like Jaredy was saying, as I've done with some of the other books, have like little bits of paper and stuff sticking out. Like a folding map or a scroll. I think a scroll might be a nice touch in this pile of stuff. I think the books in the sketch were smaller. I like the idea that somehow along the way they became these kind of larger, heavier tomes, and I kind of like that. That book is not sitting like the others, because that book isn't sitting like the others. I do want them to overlap quite a bit so they print better. But all these books need things like runes on the side. I'm not going to use the crease tool for these. I'm going to use some other, like, I'll increase the resolution and then I will emboss or deboss something out of those onto those. I think any kind of attention, any additional rivets or accents that I could put on there will make the book better. Let's do a scroll. Let's do a scroll. All right, putting on my glove. But for folks just joining us, my name is Steve Conley. I write and draw the webcomic The Middle Age, and I make TTRPG content like Intoximancy and Death Dealing. I'm streaming here to YouTube and the Twitch. I was off of YouTube for a while. Twitch has an exclusivity requirement, or had one, which they recently relaxed, which allows me to be on both platforms again. I try to play by the rules. I know. I know. That's a sucker's game, but what do you know? I sculpted a scroll in the past for the Waddle Bottom figure. It was very exaggerated. I'm not sure how I should do that here. Often like these, they would be in a scroll case. I feel like I wanted to make it one of those double scroll, because then they would sit flat, and could be in the stack of books with everything else. A lot of these things look like punch cards. I kind of want to distress them some more. Like if I use the crease tool in places, and the thing is, I don't want them to look like they were cut along, like the entire book was cut along a single like a straight line like that. That just looks bad. So to tweak each one individually will take some doing. But also, if I use the smooth tool on these things, they probably will degrade. But they'll just melt like that, and then suddenly the book doesn't feel... They get thinner, and when they get thinner, they kind of fall apart. It's going around the edges without it degrading so much. So I lowered the intensity of the brush a lot and made the brush bigger. Just running along the side there. It's hopefully going to melt some stuff. Make it feel like paper a little bit, maybe. paper and leather. Old. Hey, Talon. Yep. I put one other odd hinged book in there. I've been trying to look for one of the things that's holding up the launching the cleric subclass. I kind of want to hit the ground running when the last death dealing stuff went out the door. But trying to find a vendor who will do like a dice box that looks like a book. To me, that would be great, because then you could use it thing to hold your dice, roll dice, possibly even I did find a vendor who sells like a very lightweight wooden box that would hold the zines. It's actually the perfect size to hold the zines. So it could be a... Well, I don't know. It seems like a lot of work. It super complicates the things I do. I should just stick... Part of me wants to do extra special stuff for each one of the Kickstarter campaigns. The deck of cards was so nice with the Death Dealing campaign that I want to do something special for Meta Domain, for the Prayer's Handbook. But at some point, storage, fulfillment, all that stuff gets way more complicated. I was tempted just to sculpt to 3D sculpt a case and make that available as an STL file if people want to print one. But I know not everybody can do that. Let's create another book, just so they're not all identical, but the concept will be roughly the same for creating this one. We will create a cylinder. We will increase the subdivision. Wait, no, not the subdivision. Division X. We will validate. We will scale it up. Rotate it along the 90. I'm sorry, 90 degrees along the red. We'll remesh a little higher. Selection mask. Right, another book cover done. So we're sculpting a book, a pile of books that this creature's carrying. We did the hands last week. I think we tweaked the axe as well. The episode before that, last Tuesday, we sculpted the face and the torso. All right, so far so good, I think. we will add another cylinder, validate it, slide it up, scale it up, rotate it 90 along the red. But if I'm not going to do like a dice box for Metadomain, I'm just still trying to figure something else out. I really would like the idea of it being just a little, something a little special. I'm going to not destroy that just yet. Clone, get that out of the way. These other two I will voxel remesh together. I will turn off symmetry and use the square tool to trim them. And I will merge them with the cover. With the cylinder I will bring down, shrink it a bit. Man, this gotta be further back. Yeah. And I don't care about extending past the edges of the book because we're just going to trim the whole sides of the book down, just like a real book. We'll remesh those together. Keep sharp edges, sure, why not? Turn invisible, select the rest of the book, and then when we remesh these together, keeping sharp edges, it will notch those out. A little too much. Got a little too excited. Try that again. Remesh those together, turn them invisible, select the other one, remesh, notching those out. Yeah, better. Then we will look at it from the side, and we'll clean up that mess using the trim tool and the rectangle tool. Yeah, not perfect, but life is short. But better than perfect done. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. And they just beat themselves up because whatever they're working on is not good enough. And I'm like, it'll never be good enough. For them, I mean, I'm just happy to be done with the thing. I'm just like, there's something cool. I worked for newspapers for a very long time, and there was a, well, we'll get it right tomorrow kind of approach. Because every day it was a race to get a newspaper out the door and beat the deadlines because the presses were waiting to receive the files, and you couldn't really, every minute that the delivery was late to the presses was costing the newspaper so much money. And so the idea that, just get it done. Get it done. Get it as right as you can make it. Get it as perfect as you can make it. But make it... It was more important that it was accurate than it was artistic. Right? Which is a kind of rough lesson for a young artist who is trying to want to make everything perfect. Perfect. Air quotes. Heavy, heavy air quotes. And you didn't want that to turn into like lowering your standards to be, good enough. Like I would hear young cartoonists my entire career talking about, well, I'm better than the worst person over at Marvel. Like look at this bad book at Marvel, or look at this bad book at DC with bad artwork. And they'd be like, I'm better than that. I'm like, well, that person got the gig with luck, with a lot of luck, and contacts, and their amazing personality and networking skills, and they're 10 times faster than anybody else. What you don't know about so many of these books is, yes, they might be rough, but they might have only had 2 weeks to finish the whole thing. It's like, could you do that in 2 weeks? You might think, oh, look at this bad knee or bad foot or bad hand or whatever you're looking at. But could you do it in 2 weeks? Could you do the whole book in 2 weeks? This is like this whole level of practicality that when you look at the book and you think, oh, this book is forever. This is number 200 in the series and will always be number 200 forever. And it will stand there, and it probably pains that artist. They probably see all the same problems you see, but it's done. And without it, there'd be no issue 201. So all the issues that follow. Vince Collette is an inker who gets a lot of grief for erasing artwork, like meeting the deadlines, and often, possibly, various accounts, or like sometimes pieces were erased of Jack Kirby's work or other artists that Mr. Collette was inking, and that the shortcuts that were taken were often egregious. And don't know, it wasn't there. Try to cut people slack. Apparently nobody's favorite to ink them, but often it was a case, I imagine, they wouldn't hire bad people, I don't think. So it was more like, let's get this thing done. And there are so many great ideas that are just never completed. That's just the biggest shame. Every time I'm skimming through Netflix or Amazon Prime, and I see what looks like, oh boy, that looks like a turd of a movie. I'm like, but it's done. Not only is it done, it's on Amazon Prime. It's being shown to me on Amazon Prime. Someone finished that thing. And sometimes they're just money grabs, but other times they're, clearly a labor of love by somebody. This was going to be their Star Wars or their Citizen Kane or something. One of the things that pains me about this delay in getting back to working on the Middle Age, it's like, I just want to get the thing done. Because it's holding back everything else I have to do. I'm just in a section of the story where I don't know why even remeshing this thing is not fixing the problem. I'm going to lower the mesh, raise the mesh, and try trimming it again and see if I can actually not... There it is. I guess I just need to reset it somehow. Or is it always the second side you start to cut that has a problem? To remesh it before every cut? I hope that's not the case. Okay, so it can shave the. Wow, that seems to be the case. Like whatever the other side is you cut next could be is somehow more resilient. Very interesting. Always learning something new about this program, or all the little idiosyncrasies. Yep, every time. How we doing? So I was talking before about that giant foam cobalt thing. I saw it first at Gamehole Con. A bunch of people had it. There's a blue one and a red one, and I really think they're awesome. They're from, I think WizKids made it. I do not know why this is not cutting properly. But it is pretty amazing. I think it's 3 feet tall, 2 feet wide, 2 feet square. Ridiculous. It's amazing. I need 3 of them. I don't need 3 of them. Alright. I swear these are things they just make for Joe Manganiello. I think that's what Beetle and Grimm's business plan is. It's like you make cool stuff for rich people. Or people at least with a lot more disposable income than I am. Sweet. Man, I want to have a book that's got like we'll do another one that's got large latches on the sides of it. I want to keep these pages. I'm kind of tired of making pages, and I don't think it matters if I reuse the interior pages all that much. I do want to adjust some stuff here. The move tool lets you move individual elements within a within an object. So I'm just going to adjust some things here. So if I use the drag tool, it would move all the pieces on all the layers. But as long as they're individual elements, the drag tool only move elements from a specific layer or specific object in that group. I think that's a big change I have to make. I have to scooch some of these pages in just so they're not all flat. I think that's what's making them look kind of like punch cards or something. Okay. Last I checked, we're really close to 250 people signing up to take a look at when MetaDomain launches. So there's still quite a bit to work on with it. I still have to figure out a few more. I think I've got all the abilities for the class pretty much done. I know they're going to just need a few more tweaks, but I feel pretty close. And then once the campaign launches, I'll go into all those details about it. If you're going to need to save some stuff for the launch. Tighten that up a little bit. Sweet. I'm going to add some those spine bits that we have on the other cover. I don't know what those are called. I think that's where the lacing for the that holds all the pages together. I think that's what those are. So I'm going to clone these two. I'm sorry, not clone. I'm going to remesh them together, much smaller than they are. Gadzooks. Look at them from the side. We're going to trim them. I'm just smoothing that out. Just like it's leather and it's wrapping on top of those cords. Sweet, I think that's another book. Excuse me. Oops, I mean to clone it. I meant to rename it. Book 4. Like that one, that's like the first one that's slipping back. save that. Oh my goodness. All right. Hit the view button. I haven't lost it. View button. I'm moving it over. I feel like that book could be thicker. Scale it a little bit. I do like the overlapping because it just makes the whole project stronger, but I think I can cheat a little bit here. I think all these books could be kind of tweaked a bit. They're very mechanical looking right now. Lots of right angles. I have mentioned I'm not a fan of those. I feel like the teetering on the book here I can mask in some way to have the effect, but not worry about how the heck the thing's going to print. How we doing? Okay, nothing's exploded. I'll take that. It is raining a lot here at the moment. Hey, nothing's broken yet. That's fantastic. But if anyone out there is sculpting as well, please visit the Discord. I'd love to see what you're working on or any projects you're working on. There is a this is like a self-promotion one. That's kind of like if you want to pimp your Patreon or your Kickstarter or your Indiegogo or Zoop or Crowdfunder or whatever it is, your backer kit. I want to give everyone a shout out. And there's also an art share if you just want to let everyone see what you're working on. I'm going to shrink this book a little bit too. Or let's shrink this one that's it's teetering on. I think the next book on here has to be have its cover kind of open up a little bit. I'm going to decimate some of these. There's some very complicated. So the emblem here, I need to really build up the armor on the character. I figured that the shoulder pads will have, they'll be solid metal or like golden color perhaps. I think it's all, you know, for purposes of the sculpt, color doesn't matter at the moment. But the idea that it's all this metal, maybe it's ornate, little bits of filigree and things on them. And then attached to the back as like a bar across the back is the cape, is the fur drape. But I feel like I could also start sculpting boots. I think the armor is going to be the easiest part. Sculpting that fur loincloth, that was absolutely inspired by like half the He-Man line has got like is Man at Arms, like he's all high tech, and I think he's got like a fur loincloth on. So ridiculous. Okay, let's sculpt a boot. And boot. I was looking at trying to find easy ways to update a PDF on my own website. One of the nice things about using DriveThruRPG is that if you want to indicate, make a type correction or a clarification, if you upload a new version of the file, I think everyone who purchased it in the past gets updated to say, hey, there's a new version up there. On my own website, that's not a thing. Apparently, WordPress had that until version 3. They're up to version 6 something now. 6.4? So they did have it for a while. But apparently just very server heavy. Very server. It's like, look at these weird cuts. I don't know where that cut, why it cut like that. Trim tool. Apparently if it gives you trouble, just turn off auto validate. Save. See how we're doing. No drops or frames so far. I'm still sculpting this Grognard, a creature from my next book called Metadomain. Link below at prayershandbook.com. I think it's going to launch next week if I can get all these pieces in place. I'd like to get this illustration included in it. I want to show at least one of the monsters. I've done illustrations of some of the other clerics. The covers are done pretty much. You can see those in the corner there, although I'm kind of on the fence about the colors. I've got 3 different variants. With the blue and the gold that you see there, and then there's one that's a bit more pastel. It's definitely on the gold side, but it is muted in a way. It's not vibrant, punch you in the face yellow the way that one is. So I'm not sure. I think having punch in the face yellow is probably fine, and it's different than the other covers I've done, like Intoximancy. These are fine, but it's almost subtle, and I don't know what I'm thinking. Why am I doing subtle? It's probably bad for my brand. Alright, I'm going to select... Man. Really unhappy with this foot so far. Like, it definitely needs a heel. I know. But I feel like it should be... a little tighter, maybe? Right now I have them just kind of all... I don't know. They didn't feel like... they felt too mechanical, maybe? Turning symmetry on, see if I can get this shoe to do what I want. Do not understand what's happening with these shapes. I'll turn off auto validate. Not great. I'm going to save this. Drink more coffee. So if there isn't a... I was looking at a set of getting a set of dice made, but I wanted them to be related to how the class is played. Not just... Oh man, what am I thinking? I think in the past when I've sculpted these boots, I've made like I sculpted like a perfect boot, not articulated in any way, but just a boot. And then I would slice it or split it into pieces so you had the kind of front half of the foot and the back half of the foot, the heel and everything after the arch. And by splitting those, then I was able to adjust the pivot point so you can have kind of a flexibility in the foot. In this case, I think I was kind of sculpting it as armor, and that might have messed up my plans and my approach. Oop, I'm narrowing it, but I only want to narrow it on one side. Smooth this out some more. And again, if you back the Death Dealing campaign, you may not have received a extra sentient flagon sticker, but that was a stretch goal, and it seems like some orders didn't get those, and that's all my fault. So I am gonna make that up to everybody. So look for an update this evening from Kickstarter, a project update, and then I'll have a way for everyone to get their stickers. There have been a lot of Kickstarters which have fumbled their... Man, I don't like this at all. I'm going to start this foot over, this shoe over. It could be maybe better off just creating using a sphere to build everything. I think that's what I've done in the past. So I don't mind currently if the bottom of the shoe is not flat, because I can trim that later. I'm more concerned with the shape of the foot, the overall. Does it look like a sneaker? Does it look like a shoe? Does it follow the various bends it's supposed to have? Almost all these models start with me trying to get the basic shape right, and then after that it's just decoration. Now he's wearing slippers or a loaf of bread. Every once in a while I turn the volume down that I can't hear the music. Just becomes silence. Then I start to lose consciousness. Next thing I'm dreaming about the models I should be sculpting. It's a whole thing. The foot needs a heel that won't go across the entire back of it. But let's do this. Right, left. Using the split tool. had this issue before where I'm like, I want to. Let's do this. We will use the selection mask tool and the line tool. Wrong one. And it never works. Why doesn't that ever work? You'd think it would. Alright, I'm going to remesh these together. Put that mask there so I couldn't accidentally cut the thing. So this music is from Critical Role. I give them a shout out. They're Welcome to Tal'Darai soundtrack. They make available for streamers to use. I suspect they were talking about live play, but I feel like there's so much D&D here that this probably covers enough. I might have mentioned before, I did watch the Natural Six actual play. I saw it on YouTube. It's actually really good. I thought they did an excellent job. Use a split tool and the polygon tool to boop, boop. I did this before. I remesh it higher. Then with a small, not too powerful brush, I go around the edges of the heel. Because this way, that indentation will create an indentation you can see in the when the shoe's put back together. Sculpting this foot, this boot. It's not thrilled at the moment, it's kind of pointy. I'm trying to fix that. What the hell is this? That is garbage. Somehow I accidentally created another piece. Let's try this. Use the selection mask tool on the top part of this and the line tool. I figured a little bit of just having that kind of buckle go across the top of it. I'm going to add like an anchoring shape to the left and right of the shoe. Let's see how that looks. I'm not going to replicate the skull down there. One of the characters I sculpted early on, I put as many skulls on the thing as I thought I could. That was a fun little challenge. Let's try a lathe instead. Do you have a Can you fashion a rudimentary lathe? I believe that's a question Guy Fleegman asked, most poetically. Okay, we want a lathe. Alright, that's better. Alright, so I'm gonna... Of course I made it slightly off. You can fix that though. Let me just line these... No. Wait. Sphere, take the lathe, I keep hearing one of my cats. I'm gonna have to go see what he's up to. I'll be right back. I just want to make sure he's okay. I will be right back. We're pushing 7 o'clock, but I'm going to keep working on this. I want to get at least one of the... Let's get the legs done before we call it. I'll be right back. And we're back. What did I do with my glove? There we are. How's everybody doing? So it's Tuesday. We're sculpting this creature. The creature needed some boots, so I'm building a boot. We'll rotate that 180 on the... No. Cancel that. Well, maybe we will. 180 on the red. I'm going to clone that extrusion and hide one of them, and I'm going to use... how am I going to do this? Change the angle slightly so I don't cut all the way through everything. I'm going to use the lasso tool and we'll cut through like that. Other side will do the same thing. A good angle. If I had it horizontal, it would cut right through and get both sides. I don't know if those points would line up properly. I don't care for the... I don't like how the front of this shoe is kind of... Oops, I do. Wrong tool. I don't care for how the front of the shoe is kind of like a little lopsided. Got like a... I'm getting the expression of a dark crystal mouth there. All these steps I take to kind of soften, to really hint at the seam between the boot and the heel. I don't know. I don't know if any of that's worth it. Like when it's a mini, but this is actually a large mini, so maybe it will be a bit more of a factor. I don't know. So let's take these lathes and validate them. I forgot I hadn't done that. I'll use the selection tool and let's just join it together and make it right boot. So this is a creature for the upcoming, my next RPG book. It's a 5th edition compatible D&D book called The Prayer's Handbook. It's for the Metadomain Cleric. If you've been with me all stream or for the last few months, I'm sorry if you're hearing all this again. Let me separate these out. There will be some repetition. I apologize for that. I just feel bad for anyone joining us late who does like, what the hell is this guy doing? Also, I go to Aldi every fall and they start having all these kind of these German cookies for like winter. And like when I was a kid, I would get some of them. My mom's side of the family was German and we get all these German cookies, Pfeffernussen and all this, Pfeffernuss? Whatever it is, I don't know how to pronounce it. Some gingerbread cookies, and for the most part, they're terrible. I'm not sure if the legitimate ones you would get in Germany are amazing, but the ones I've found everywhere else since have been pretty much god-awful. But I never stopped trying. As I took that little break there to see how the cats are doing. Cat's fine. Cat was, I don't know what the cat was yelling at outside the window. Probably a lizard. Florida, you get lots of lizards. a stunning amount of little, tiny little lizards. I'm stunned that I ever got used to that. Okay, let's do that. I'm going to add a sphere. I'm going to validate it. Every new object appears smack dab in the middle of the universe. I'm going to scale it up. And this is going to be the Shin. Selection mask tool. Whoopsie-doo. I want the rectangle. We're going to select the top of this sphere. And move the pivot point to the center. And then when we expand it, just the bottom part should. And this will give us the taper of the calf and shin. Clear. And in this case, in this model's case, the shins are incredibly short. Very stubby. So I don't have to worry too much about it. But in both cases, they do kind of lean forward a bit. Or at least that's the implication of shins, is like they have a bend forward to them. With symmetry on, I'm going to try to accentuate that a little bit. Symmetry on for some of this and turning it off for other bits. I like to add some personality, like some hint of the shape of the leg underneath all this armor, but part of it is like, well, it is armor, so you don't want to do too much. You don't want to, like, using the clay tool, you don't want to build up the calf muscles, because that would be ridiculous through the armor. Also see how much stress this mesh is under. Think if I do like a Venn diagram kind of thing, let's do that. Let's try this. We'll separate the boot just like that. Use the selection tool to select both of those. We will clone both of those, turn them both invisible, and when we voxel remesh them together, the only part that will stay is the part in the Venn diagram, the part where they overlap each other. So you've got the calf and you've got the boot. And the only part we're going to have left is the part where those two pieces intersect. We're going to keep sharp edges and hit remesh. I'm going to move it out so you can see it now. It's that piece. That's the part where the two things overlap. I'm thinking if I bring that out now, it might create an interesting shape. We move the pivot point to the center of the thing. Yeah, I think that's super interesting. Wow. Never did that before, but it seems to work. We just lucked into that. It overlaps awkwardly with that strap across the top of the boot. I could lower that a little bit. Move our pivot point down, let's say to the center of that thing. Make sure there's no gap in there. Cool. That was really cool. So by creating the duplicates of the two pieces and then showing where they overlap, that created that awesome little wedge shape there. I like that thing. That's awesome. All right. So let's name some of these things. Calf. Let's call shin. That's interesting. It didn't take. Try that again. Shin. And this is the... I think that's the right boot. Oh, I got two things named Shin. That's so stupid. I missed what I was doing. That little lip thing I'm going to put as part of the boot. Okay, so that's our right boot. We can turn that off and on. And then we got the shin. Now we're going to move the pivot points of these things. So the shin's pivot should be up by the knee. So when it rotates up there. And the boot, the pivot point should be, oopsie-doo. The pivot point should be the ankle. So when it rotates there. Oh, that worked out pretty well. And we're going to make the right boot a child of the shin. So as the shin rotates, the boot goes with it. All right. So far, so good. Now I've got to build the thigh, the knee, and the pelvis. Although that part's going to be covered with like a fur loincloth. Very much Masters of the Universe. Hey! Nice to see you. See you, LJ. What's the word? Yeah, it's nice to be back over on YouTube a little bit. I was talking about that before, that I'm going to clone the shin and boot. And we're just going to move this up into position and see how it looks roughly in position. Twitch relaxed its rules a bit about streaming, and so I'm able to be on YouTube. Boy, that shin needs to be even smaller, even shorter. Okay, good to know. Now, when this becomes a sculpt for purposes of printing, it will be even... That foot will lay flat on the ground. All right, I'm gonna have to... I feel like the leg itself. We'll disconnect these two for a moment. Like the whole foot has to spin out a little bit, because right now I currently have it like straight on with the universe, and it needs to be off a bit. It needs to be out. and the shin kind of comes in at an angle. I just kind of eyeballed the shape of the running figure, and I just liked how some of the pieces were coming together, so I kind of left them alone. Now I'm just trying to, it's like a sketch, just trying to maintain the life I have in the sketch. Often when inking is you can lose so much from the, you draw this initial pencil sketch and it's all loose and lively and has so much potential, and you can kind of see all the different bits of potential that the sketch has. Like it can go in so many different directions and your mind is just picking the good ones. You're like, oh yeah, all the good answers. That's what this is going to look like. And then you get to the inking part and you don't choose all the good answers, all the proper ones, or I don't. And then it's this kind of like this disappointing dead thing. I know so many cartoonists who've talked about that kind of the disconnect between the sketch and the final piece. But I think roughly this is going to look okay. It's hard to see with this other much larger boot in the way. I'm not sure if I'm sold on that boot yet. I could imagine just doing the thing over again. But that intersection, that Venn diagram element, and then popping it out, and then it has that nice crisp edge. I never tried that before. I never thought of that before. I wish I had done that a million times in other instances. I don't hate the boot. It just feels a little melty when it comes down to the bottom of the heel. Like you can just see this kind of mushiness there, that softness. I have to kind of tighten that up if I can in the model. Okay, let's separate that out, see if we can fix this. I think the solution is to use the trim tool and the polygon tool. Better. Not great. You just see this kind of weird indentation right there. I guess that could be solved with some things like using the crease tool to kind of add like intentional scarring or something like that. Like, oh, this is the boot and that's where it got all messed up. Like usually at the bottom of a boot you want to put a scar or two just to show wear and tear. I'll often cut a notch, at least in the drawing, like a part of the boot like that. To me, that's a nice bit of irregularity and adds some life to the piece. But that part right there bothers me a lot. That wobble. Can I do front-facing vertex only on this thing and slide it over? Ugh. Ugh. Trying to very gingerly move it over. That worked out better than I would have hoped. I have to undo it though. I just did that nice thing, but I have to undo it because I cut that notch in the boot. When I reflect the boot later on, if both boots have that same notch in the same place that are mirrored with each other, it will clearly indicate that it has been mirrored, and that would pain me. So let's do that again. Okay. I'm just gently nudging it. Just little taps pushing it left. It's bulging a little bit now. It was better before. One more time. I got this. Front-facing vertex, good. Try not to push too hard. Again, this music is thanks to Critical Role and their Welcome to Tal'Dorei album. They're like, yeah, anybody can use this as long as they buy the album and give them a shout out, and I'm absolutely happy to do that. I'm not sure if they meant that only for actual play streams. I mentioned this before. I don't know if it's just for actual play streams or for anybody doing D&D stuff, but as someone just doing D&D stuff or D&D adjacent stuff, technically 5th edition adjacent stuff. How are we doing? There's something on I noticed there was a book it was at Michael's. It was for Dungeons and Dragons. It was for dungeon, it was dungeon elements of some kind. And the interesting text on the back was it said it was for 5th edition role-playing games, plural. Like even Tales of the Valiant is 5th edition compatible, but it's not the 5th edition of Tales of the Valiant. So it feels weird. But I was thinking about that. I was thinking about adding that plural to the cover of my next book about the world's most popular role-playing games, plural. Because even if the game is not Dungeons and Dragons, it's like the idea is that if you've got 2 games and one is the most popular one in the world, they're then the most popular role-playing games, I think. Is there some sort of math equation for that? All right, so what we need now is we need the. We'll create a sphere for the shin, which will have a skull on it because gotta have more skulls. We'll validate it. The gizmo tool, drag it down. We're going to use this sphere twice, one for the shin and one for the thigh. Maybe even a third one for the pelvis. Did I already move that off center? I did, because I'm a doof. Let's move the origin of that. And that will center it in space again. And we'll drag that down. This will be our shin. We'll clone that again. Sorry, not our shin, our knee. And then this will be our thigh, which will scale up. It should be larger. Look at it from the side. I'm going to give it that kind of teardrop shape. So we will use the selection mask tool and select the top of it. We'll keep symmetry on for the moment. We'll use the drag tool. We will center the pivot point. No, that's not what we want to do. We didn't want to move it. We wanted to scale it. I think that will give us our shape. I saw that Marvel's movie didn't do that well in the theaters this weekend. I think that's a real shame. All the reviews I've heard are quite good. I feel like I didn't even know that it was coming, that I was out of the loop. And I don't know if that's because all the actors were unable to promote it for the last few months. And I know my social media network is a lot of comics people. Not only people who love comics, but also work on comics and are always dialed into whatever's happening. But almost, I think a contributing factor might have been the fact that some of the co-stars come from the TV shows, which I think a lot of people are less familiar with. I saw the Miss Marvel show on the Disney Plus. I thought it was excellent. Super charming. Had like a real kind of modern Spider-Man vibe. A young person is still in school, trying to get by with powers they don't understand. The characters were charming, and yeah, just really a pretty cool show. But I just don't know, when you try to do a theatrical release and you haven't established those characters in a wider way. Like, I suspect a TV show, I suspect a Captain Marvel 2 might have done better. If they called it Captain Marvel 2, But someone also said it was like the 33rd Marvel movie. I'm not sure how long that's supposed to be sustainable. Yeah, LJ. Definitely lifts in this one. This is a very self-conscious. This is a very self-conscious creature. So this is the knee, which will be below the shin. Book 4 should be way up there. Where is it all the way down here? It's connected to the right hand. Isn't it? Oh no, it's the left hand. Where's the left hand? Oh, the left hand's invisible. The heck? Where are all the books? Oh, they're connected to the shoulder. I'm going to disconnect that knee for the moment. Remove the shin. That's the thigh. $727. Okay. Well, you're all very lovely. We're gonna wrap it up here. I went a little bit longer than I expected to. We made some progress. Got the books done. Made some progress on this leg. Chipping away at it. The knee's going to have that kind of skull emblem, but the skull emblem has been built, and we're just going to repeat that all over the place. It's going to be on the hammer. It's going to be on the armor. I'm not entirely sold on that boot just yet. I think it's got nice character to it, I think. I'm not sure if it's logical. I don't know. I need to look up more. Every time I look up, it's almost always armored boot coverings, right? They never put armor directly on their feet. It's like, to me, reading comics as a kid, Doctor Doom had a metal boot. He just put on a sock and then put that right in the metal boot, and it was all lined with, like, I don't know, high-tech cushions and things like that on the inside. But like the armor of this fantasy time was all, you know, you'd wear like leather boots and you put metal plates on top of them to reinforce them from the outside. All this fantasy stuff I'm drawing here is just way more action figure science and science. It's action figure logic and Doctor Doom thinking. Very silly. And so, I gotta figure out how to balance those things. The idea of a sphere for the knee is pretty good. I think I need to create a band that protrudes from it, and onto that I will add that skull. But we tried that with the thumb, the knuckle coverings before, when sculpting the hands, is that when I did them as individual bands, first time ever doing that, mixed results, I felt. Maybe they're okay there. Maybe I do that with the knees. But then I use spheres for the individual knuckles for the fist. Those knuckles felt... anything else didn't work. But maybe something like that for the knees will work. I really like that grip on the axe. It's ridiculous. The axe has to be in motion. I don't know how this... It has to be held aloft magically or something like that. It's definitely a two-handed weapon that this guy is swinging with one hand. And as someone else mentioned in the last stream, that normally there'd be some sort of bar or some sort of indications of the things keeping that axe head from flying off when you swing it. The posts could conceivably, the supports could be going right through the wooden pole underneath that skull plate. But it's kind of better to indicate it, so I'm going to add like a few little rivets and things like that. Possibly adding a point to the top of the thing. I'm worried about the weight of it already. You can see the initial hand that was sculpted up here. You're into that sort of thing. And I think this one was all articulated so that you could, if I can actually grab it right. Oh no, not that part. Oh no, none of them were. Wow. Oh no, they were. I forgot which one was the controlling bit, not the. But I think I was mostly unhappy with how they were working with that kind of additional knuckle piece. Anywho. All right, folks, you've been lovely. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me and encouraging me and egging me on and my shenanigans. Check out Prayer's Handbook. Queue up for when it goes live. Thank you for being here. Thanks for catching the replay later on if that's the sort of thing you're into. Have a lovely couple of days. I will see you all Thursday from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. East Coast time. I will be here. I hope you are too. Have a great couple of days. Make some good stuff. Make some great stuff. And then come over to Discord. Share it over in the art area. I love to see what you're doing. Good night, everybody.